In this video, I want to talk about three things that are definitely going to be on your Algebra 1 Semester 2 final. We got exponent rules, factoring, and the quadratic equation. If any of those don't sound familiar, you can just skip that part of the video, or maybe you want to refresh it. Let's get into it. All right, I got 6 quick rules of exponents I want to go over with here in this video. If you need more in-depth, I will link a video at the end about exponents. That said, this first rule is, what if we have something that's like this, where it's x squared plus x to the third plus 3x squared? If it's addition and subtraction in between these, in fact, let's even make this one a subtraction sign. If that's kind of what's connecting those terms together, you can only put together like terms, meaning that they have to have the same letter or the same variable, as well as the same exponent, okay? And so this one, since it is an x, but it's x to the third power, that cannot be combined kind of like these two can. Now, how many of this x squared is there? Well, there's only one. This one there's 3, so 1 plus 3 is 4 x squared, and this one doesn't have anything to combine with, so I just have to tack it on at the end, say negative x to the third, and that would be how I simplify that expression. All right, number 2 here, what if I have x squared times x to the third? This is going to be a little bit different than number 3, which is x squared raised to the third. The difference between these two, and we can show you why, maybe why this works, but you're going to add the exponents in this one, so this is going to equal x to the 5th, whereas here you're going to multiply and get 2 times 3 is x to the 6th power. The reason why is x squared is x times x. X to the third is x times x times x. Well, how many x's are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whereas this one, this is saying it's x squared, and if it's raised to a power, it's that many x squared. So there's going to be 3 of those. That's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. If I would say 2, 2, and 2, well, that of course is a 6. So this one is x to the 5th, whereas this one is x to the 6th. All right, we could do the same thing for number 4 as well. This could be like 7 x's on top and 5 x's on the bottom. And if you think about what's going on there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of those are going to cancel? 5 of them. And where are the ones that are not canceled at? They are on the top. So this is going to equal x squared. Now a shortcut, in case you have more complex numbers, you don't want to write out 27 x's or whatever, however many they give you, is you're going to take the top minus the bottom, or what I like to say is kind of wherever the bigger one is, subtract that from the other side, because if it was 7 on the bottom, then the 2 would be left over in the bottom, I should say, in the denominator of your fraction. Right? So in either case, this one is going to give you x squared. Now, that brings me to my next point, is that you cannot have a negative exponent. And so what happens when you have negatives? We have to fix them. So this kind of ties together everything we've done so far. So we have to apply this exponent to all the bases in here. We have an x, a 2, some people forget their numbers, a 2, a y, and a z. Now, the 2 and the y both have exponents of 1 currently, so this 2 is going to be applied to the 1, to the 1, and to the negative 3 as well. When I do that, remember this is like a power raised to a power, so it's like this example, where those are being multiplied. So this is going to be x to the 4th over 2 squared y to the 2nd. Again, I'm multiplying 1 times 2 there. Negative 3 times 2 is going to be z to the negative 6. Now there's a bunch of things we have to switch and change in this one. The x to the 4th is okay, that's a positive exponent. However, 2 squared is 4, so we can change that. Y squared is good, that's also positive, so it's y squared. However, z to the negative 6, you cannot have a negative exponent. To fix it, you have to make it positive and move it to the other side. So wherever it's at currently, whether it's numerator, you're going to move it to the denominator, move it to the numerator. In this case, it's in the denominator, I'm going to move it up, so it's going to be z to the positive 6 on the top. So my final answer, I should probably center that a little bit better, but it's going to be x to the 4th, z to the 6th over 4y squared. The last one here, you might have something like this on your final, where it gives you a bunch of junk inside of parentheses, and it's all raised to 0. And what's anything to the 0 power? It equals 1. Does not matter what's on the inside here. If it's raised to the 0, it's going to equal 1. The next thing that's going to be on your final is factoring, all right? And now, when I was a teacher, I tried to make it so that my students could do their final quickly. And so you might not get some complex type factoring on your final. You might be seeing more like these two. But in either case, you want to be ready to factor because it for sure will be on there. That said, this one is a difference of squares, meaning these are both perfect squares, both these terms, and we can solve here, or factor it I should say, by taking the square root of your first term. Square root of 16 is 4. That's going to be placed in the first part of either of these two parentheses. The square root of x squared is x. All right, and then the square root of 49 is 7. And because it's a difference of squares, we need one that has a plus and one that has a minus. The reason why is if I were to multiply this back together, I would end up with the pink part, 16x squared minus 49. So a lot of times you could leave your answer like this. Now, this one at the end has an equal sign. If this had an equal sign equal to 0, you would set each of these equal to 0, each of those terms, and solve from there. We'll show you how to do that on that last one. This one, however, the next thing that might be on there is something with the GCF, or greatest common factor. All right, here I'm seeing that 3, -3, and -36 are all divisible by what? By 3. All right, so I'm going to divide each of those by 3. That's going to give me x squared minus x minus 12. All right, and because it didn't have an equal sign, if it did, it would equal 0, and we could divide that by 3 as well, and it would go away. Here, I do have to put the 3 out front, so you might want to keep that in mind. Otherwise, how can this factor? And what I like to teach my students, I use kind of a graphic organizer, where I take the first term times the last term, so this would be 1, the coefficients of those, 1 times -12. That'd be -12, I'm going to put that on top. The coefficient of the b term is going to go on the bottom of this little graphic organizer, and I need two numbers that multiply to be -12 and then also add to be a -1. Well, that tells me that these two numbers on the side have to be 1 apart from each other, and in order to multiply to be 12, 3 and 4 would work there. However, which one's going to be negative? And it turns out that the 4 has to be negative, because when I add those together, it would give me -1. Why is that helpful? Because as long as this is a 1, we can split it kind of like we did this first one with our two sets of parentheses, but these are just going to get plopped into the sides there. So we still have x and x. You kind of think of x squared being split that way, x and x. If I'm going to make 1 a positive 3, 1 a -4, then don't forget your coefficient out front, or your GCF I should say, of 3. Okay, this last one, I've kept talking about this having to equal 0. So let's do that. And I think the easiest way would be to add this 5x squared to both sides. And when I do that here, this is going to give me 0 equals a positive 5x squared plus 9x plus 4. And if you really want, you can shift this 0 to the other side. I like it on my right side. Okay, now similarly to this one, I need to find two numbers that multiply to give me whatever 5 times 4 equals, and of course that is 20. And then my 9 on the bottom, two numbers that multiply to be 20 and that add to be 9 here. Well, if I think factors of 20, we have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 3 doesn't work, and then 4 and 5. Then I'd wrap back around so I'd be done. And of course 4 and 5 are the only ones that give me to 9, like that. Okay, now here, because my A term, if you think A, B, and C, here my A was 1, here it's not a 1. And so again, this is kind of a little bit more of a complex factoring type problem. And because of that, I can only use those two numbers to split my B term. So I'm going to say 5x squared plus 4x plus 5x plus 4 equals 0. So really, these two lines are the exact same. The only difference is I split this 9x to look like 4x plus 5x, which is 9x. Why is that helpful? Because if I split the kind of first two terms and last two terms, I'm going to try to factor out GCFs from that, and that's going to help me factor this in the end. This first one, I can take out an x, that's all, leave me with 5x plus 4, and then I need to take out something of the second term that also leaves me with 5x plus 4. Well, if it already is 5x plus 4, what can I take out of something so it stays the same? A 1. 1 times that would also equal 5x plus 4. Okay, so now I'm going to write the x plus 1 together as one factor, and then I'm going to write 5x plus 4 as the other. And now this time it does equal 0, so each of these I have to set that equal to 0 to figure out when this would be true. The reason why is if this was 0, 0 times anything is 0, or if this is 0, then 0 times anything is 0. So I have to find both cases. Here it's going to be x plus 1 equals 0, and 5x plus 4 equals 0. Here I'm going to subtract 1. So x equals a -1. That could be one answer, or this one, if I subtract 4, and can get 5x equals negative 4, divide by 5. X equals negative 4 fifths. So two answers for this problem, -1 and -4 fifths. Right, the last thing that's likely to be on your semester 2 final for algebra is the quadratic equation. These are things that kind of look like they should be able to factor, but they don't. If you were to make that graphic organizer we used earlier, multiply your A term times your C term, here in this case that'd be -80. There's no numbers that multiply to be -80 that also add to be your B term of 11. It might be easier to see in this one where this is 1 times 4. And then two numbers that multiply to be 4 and also add to be 2. Well, the only things that multiply to be 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. There's no way to also add to be 2. So because of that, this has to use what's called the quadratic formula, or quadratic equation. Now, just a reminder, it's going to be negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. That's all divided by 2 times a. Now, your a, b, and c, your trinomial here has to be written in descending order. So it has to go x squared, x, and no x, where my a is going to be the coefficient that comes in front. So it's 4. Here the b is 11, and c is going to be -20. All right, with that said, I can now plop those numbers into my formula and just replace them. So negative b, that's going to be a -11. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. I actually do b squared in my head. So what is 11 squared? Well, it's 121. All right, if you want to write that out as 11 squared, you could. Minus 4 times, then I'm going to fill in my parentheses with the a term and the c term, which is 4 and -20. Just like that. Oops, 4 and -20. Now it's all divided by, again, I actually do this part in my head as well. 2 times a till 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, now you might have a calculator handy for this next part. This is called a discriminant, and that's going to be the part that's underneath your square root, so that kind of squiggly line there. If you type that in exactly like it looks, 121, I already did it, 121 minus 4 times parentheses 4 times parentheses -20, and hit enter. Turns out that's 441, which is a nice square root, so it's -11 plus or minus square root of 441. Since it's the part under the square that we used, I'm leaving my square root in there. All right, all divided by 8. Now, square root of 441, if I hit second square root and then 441, that gives me 21. So I'm going to have -11 plus or minus 21 over 8. Now, plus or minus, we don't have a plus or minus button on our calculator, but we do have a plus and we have a minus, so we can treat those things separately. And I'm going to do -11 plus 21, and then hit enter, and then divide by 8. And that's really important you do that. So it gave me, of course, 10 divided by 8, which happens to be 1.25. If you want to leave that as a fraction or a decimal, you could. And then do the same thing the other way. -11 minus 21 is going to be -32 over 8. And of course, that's going to be a -4. So two answers here for this quadratic equation. We have 1.25 and -4. All right, let's try one that uses imaginary numbers. That's going to be this. And if I think, what's my A, B, and C terms here? Well, it's going to be 1, 2, and 4, respectively. Now I'm going to plug those into my same quadratic equation, where I have -b, -2 plus or minus the square root of b squared. Again, I like to do that in my head. 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 times a times c. 1 and 4 go in those spots. All divided by 2 times a. 2 times 1 is 2. Here you can maybe do this in your head. This is all being multiplied. 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. So I have 4 minus 16, which is a -12. So I have -2 plus or minus the square root of -12 over 2. Now, if you've been around the block a time or two, you know that negative square roots are really bad. Some teachers say this is no solution, and that's where they end it. Others deal with imaginary numbers. So if that's your teacher, then we have to fix this somehow so that we have an I, or an imaginary answer. To do that, the I just comes out. Instead of the negative square root, we're going to say an I in front. Right, then we're going to have a square root after that. However, 12 also can be fixed a little bit. It's made up of 4 and 3. 4 is a perfect square. And so it's going to be 2 that we can bring out. So I'm going to have 2i. The 3 has to be left over on the inside of our square root there. All right, the rest of this I'm going to kind of bring down. So I still have the plus or minus. So this 2I squared root of 3 is the same thing as the square root of negative 12. The other parts, I'm still going to have this negative 2 as well as the 2 on the bottom. And you'll notice that this 2, this 2, and this 2, we can actually simplify that quite a bit and just say this is now negative 1 plus or minus I root 3. And the 2 on the bottom canceled with all of that, if you want to think of it as canceling for both those terms. And so this would be an acceptable answer for that pink part up there where we use the quadratic equation on x squared plus 2x plus 4 equals 0. So those are some things that are going to be on your final exam. There's also some videos here on the screen that go over factoring, some exponent rules, as well as the quadratic equation right here.